Chapter 2. The Employers. 6 years ago. Ha! I found another one! You know, it's not even impressive anymore, replies Gallia. She and Elidria have been out collecting snails for their dye exports all morning, or at least, since the tide started to go back out. The 200 feet of flat terrain is perfect for finding these surprisingly valuable creatures. I beg to differ, says Elidria. I think it is very impressive that we keep finding them. Think about it. The more we find, the less there are. I guess, but now I'm just expecting to find more. Elidria jumps over a tide pool and sits down on a rock in the middle of it. Dad was supposed to be back days ago. Gallia steps in the tide pool and snatches another snail before sitting down next to her friend. She doesn't need eyes to see that Elidria is anxious. If I know Uncle Aldemir, which I do, he found some nice old lady that needs help getting home. He's probably helping someone. She's right. It is something Elidria's father would do. He's probably not doing that exact thing, but she does get the point. I suppose, but I can't stop worrying about him. Are you worried about him, or are you worried about being alone? You don't know what it's like, Elidria snaps. She covers her mouth with her hands. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Gallia smiles. It's all right. Maybe I was being a bit insensitive. I really don't know what you've been through. It's no excuse for me to snap at you. I'm already over it. If it makes you feel better, I'm sure your dad knows what day it is. That's probably why he's running late, Gallia assures. Not in the state he's in. Gallia rolls her eyes and puts an arm around Elidria. You know he's trying his best, and he loves you more than anything. Yeah, I guess I do. Then stop worrying. Gallia and Elidria have been friends for as long as either of them can remember. Their parents were friends before they were born, so it does make sense that their kids would become friends too. This haul is plenty, Gallia says, looking in her sack. Let's head back. Elidria obliges with just a simple nod. She lugs her own sack of snails over her shoulder and hops off the rock. She looks towards the cliff that leads back up to their village. We didn't even have to go very far today. Nope. The girls begin their very short walk back. Elidria remains very silent, which does concern Gallia a bit. They reach the cliff face before Gallia finally breaks the silence. I'll head up, and you load the basket. But it's my turn to pull it up. Don't fret. Either way works for me. I know you're trying to think of something to cheer me up, says Elidria. So you admit you're down? I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. Elidria shakes her head. Just climb to the top. I kind of just want to get lost in my thoughts. Gallia places her sack in the basket and begins her climb up the very narrow staircase that was carved up the side of the cliff. She stops and looks back at Elidria. How about instead of thinking of all the bad reasons your father is late, you think of all the good reasons? It's not that easy anymore. Elidria places her sack with Gallia's and unstraps the basket from the rock. It's all set. Gallia resumes her climb up the cliff. After she disappears from Elidria's sight, the basket. Elidria grabs the empty basket and straps it back on the rock. She then begins her own climb, a climb that many would be afraid to scale. However, for the people of Venor, this is just an everyday event. An arm reaches down to help, like it always does. She grabs it, but this one is much more firm than Gallia's. It pulls her up and immediately embraces her. Elidria knows exactly who it is. Dad, she says as she buries her head in his arms. Oh? Exclaims the surprised Aldemir. He strokes her hair gently, just the way she likes it. Hey, Ellie. I wasn't quite expecting this affection from a simple return. Elidria looks up at him. A bright smile lifts his rugged features. His eyes shine the way they always do when he's happy. After what happened, I was kind of worried about you and let my thoughts get to me, she tells him. Aldemir places his hand on her shoulder. It was an accident. Some things you have to let go. I'm back now, so focus on today. Aldemir looks over at the haul the two girls acquired. That's a lot of snails in one go. Very impressive. And it's not even lunch, adds Elidria. No, it really isn't. Aldemir tries his best to smother his smile, but he just can't. What's going on? Elidria asks him. He starts to grin. Yeah, I'm not very good at hiding things. I too have a haul. It took me a bit longer, but I think it was worth it. What could you be hauling? Well, it is your birthday, so I figured I'd get you something really special. 14 isn't a special age, says Elidria. Every birthday is special. Aldemir looks over at Gallia. Could you take care of the snails for us? I can handle them, she says with confidence. And please, bring your family over for dinner. Sure thing. Happy birthday, Elder. Gallia gives a wave and carries the 2 sacks of snails away. So? Elidria is absolutely beaming. Right. He opens the door to let her enter first. Happy birthday, he says as she walks in. Elidria freezes, and tears begin filling her eyes. She tries to speak, but her words won't come. She begins to laugh as she brings one hand to her mouth. "Alidria, my dearest princess," says the smiling Arlena, arms open wide. Alidria laughs again and rushes for a hug. "Mom, I don't believe it." Alidria notices one of her hands is completely wrapped in a bandage. She releases her mother and takes her bandaged hand. Her head spins. She looks into her mother's eyes and tries her best to say more. Nothing she can think of seems adequate. She had already lost and mourned for her mother. How is she right here in front of her? Is this even real? She reaches out a hand and strokes her arm, gently, as if too much pressure might cause her to crumble and fade away. Working up the courage, she whispers, "I thought you were dead. I'm sorry." "No, don't apologize for something like that." Aldemir approaches the two women. "May I?" he asks. With her other hand, Arlena pulls her husband in, and Alidria snuggles back in as well. "I love you both very much," Arlena tells them. "Mom, I really don't know what to say." "Then just cherish this moment." "Wake up!" DELSAR crouches above Alidria. He used a hushed tone and shakes her shoulder to wake her up. Alidria grumbles as she wakes up. DELSAR quickly presses his hand against her mouth. She lets out a quick, muffled scream before remembering where she is. DELSAR points to the trees, and that's when she notices the troll a mere 30 feet from where she lies. It doesn't seem like the troll has noticed them, but why is there a random troll in the woods? DELSAR, with one hand still in Alidria's mouth, pulls a dagger from his satchel. Alidria gasps. DELSAR flips it over and tries to hand it to her. She looks at it for a moment before taking it from him. DELSAR gestures her to stay, then darts into the woods with elf-like agility. Alidria's heavy breathing is louder than DELSAR's footfalls. Is DELSAR going to fight this monster himself? Alidria puzzles a bit in her head. Where does he get his energy? Alidria stands as quietly as she can. She reaches for her bag, but is interrupted by a sharp pain in her foot. She clenches her fist to her mouth and squeezes her eyes shut. What did I just do? Alidria looks down and sees the knife lying at her feet with a dab of blood in the tip. The knife! He just gave it to me! It appears she had subconsciously released the knife and had poked through her boot before bouncing out. She's lucky she went to bed both exhausted and upset last night. Otherwise, she may have remembered to take them off. The troll lets out some sort of cry and starts charging toward Alidria. Oh no! Did I scream when I dropped the knife? Alidria steps back and trips over the blanket lying at her feet. She stumbles back and falls to the makeshift tent. She turns over on her hands and knees and reaches for the knife. It's not there. She must have kicked it somewhere when she tripped. Her heart pounds as she feels her panic mounting. She clambers to her feet, but gets tripped up again by the blanket that is now wrapped around her legs. She lands hard on her elbows, but quickly kicks the blanket from her legs and scrambles to the nearest tree. She throws her hands up and screams as the log they used as a bench last night slams into the tree. Rotten wood and dirt fly from the troll's new club, sending debris straight into her face. With the surge of adrenaline, her morning drowsiness has passed. However, her moment of clarity disappears with the dirt and wood that has just plastered her eyes. She squints one eye open and starts to run. She trips again over something, but she doesn't go down. With a quick balance adjustment, she takes off in a full sprint. She's determined not to let anything stop her this time. Her determination does not get her very far. A branch whacks against her face, which doesn't stop her, but it does shift her weight back. She tries to catch herself, but one of her feet hits a divot, sending her tumbling head over heels. She comes to a stop, flat on her back. A huge shadow looms over her. She knows it's the troll, even if she can't see clearly. The beast raises its log above its head for what will likely be a killing strike. In one last desperate attempt, Alidria lets out the loudest scream she can possibly conjure. The troll hesitates for just one moment. One crucial moment. The troll lets out an agonized cry as DELSAR drives his sword across both its heels. The troll falls to one knee and drops the log upon its own head. With the troll now at a more manageable height, DELSAR continues his motion with a finishing strike aimed at the troll's neck. His blade doesn't hit its mark. Instead, the enraged troll flails its body to face DELSAR. It leads with its backhand, which DELSAR catches with his blade. The sword stabs through its hand, but doesn't stop it. The hand crashes into DELSAR, sending him tumbling back. The troll howls in pain from the sword now protruding from the back of its hand. The troll grabs the sword and rips it out, causing even more damage. "Hey!" shouts Alidria. The troll turns back around, only to get greeted by a handful of dirt to the face. "How do you like it?" DELSAR takes advantage of Alidria's distraction and grabs 2 arrows from his quiver. He jumps on the back of the troll and tries to stab them into its flesh. One arrow snaps harmlessly, while the other barely sticks in. The troll's skin proves too tough for such an attack. "The sword!" yells DELSAR as the troll reaches back and grabs him by the cloak. He attempts to squirm out of his cloak, but is unsuccessful because of his shield strapped to his back. The troll grabs DELSAR's legs with its bloodied hand and his right arm with the other. It tries to rip DELSAR apart. Alidra yells as she swings DELSAR's sword against the troll's back. It bounces off. The troll, now even more furious, tosses DELSAR against a tree and focuses on Alidra. She swings again with no more success. She catches the arm with the injured hand and leaves a mere scratch. The troll kicks at her, but she steps far enough away to avoid the full force. The glancing blow still knocks her on her rear. She instinctively drops the sword to catch herself with both arms to her side. The troll is distracted by this new development and turns toward the shooter, screaming as loud as it can. With that, DELSAR fires another arrow straight into the mouth of the troll, causing it to emit a horrible choking noise before falling forward, flat on its face. She runs well around the troll and tries to hand the sword to DELSAR, who just sits there against the tree. "Take your sword," she commands. "It's dead," DELSAR replies. Alidra, not completely convinced, carefully walks toward the troll, sword in hand. She pokes at its head a little, and then again at its neck. Satisfied, she returns to DELSAR's side. "It's dead," she confidently states, resting the blade on her shoulder and placing her hand on her hip. DELSAR begins to grimace and tear up. "Are you okay?" Alidra asks thoughtfully. DELSAR, wincing from pain, replies, "Of course not. It's clear to me that this agreement will not work. You have no combat sense, and I'm not going to babysit you all the way. I'm the one who made an opening for you. You're also the one that alerted it to our presence with your uncalled-for squeak." "I dropped the knife on my foot." "That's exactly what I'm talking about," he says. "You're useless and a burden." Alidra tries her best to fight back her own tears. "Then teach me how to fight. Then you can have a partner with you, like when you defeated the Wanderers last time. You won't have to save Benor alone." "You don't get it. I'm not saving Benor at all." "Then you'll die quicker than anyone. You're still too small," he tells her like he told her yesterday. "A sword will still cut." "What's going to happen when you don't have a sword? When you get punched in the face by a man twice your size?" DELSAR asks. "I'll punch back," she answers. "You'll be dead. You will go down, and you won't get back up." "But I will, and I won't stop fighting," she says, still very much determined. "Let's pretend you don't go down. Where would you punch back?" "His face." "You just broke your hand." "What?" "Someone's skull is a whole lot stronger than the little bones in your fist," DELSAR explains. "Then what is the right way?" she questions. "If you hit someone's face, you should use the heel of your palm." Alidra extends the palm of her hand toward DELSAR. DELSAR looks away, putting no effort into hiding his annoyance. "You have nothing to lose," she continues. "You still know where you're going, you're still getting paid, and you won't need to find another job for at least a month, and you'll have someone who can watch your back." "My shield has my back," he states. "It did a fine job pinning you in your cloak. Don't think I didn't notice." DELSAR rolls his eyes. He reaches into his satchel and pulls out a canteen. "Here," he says, handing it to Alidra. "What's this for? I have my own." "Then you can use yours to clean out your eyes." Alidra's eyes shut tight with DELSAR's reminder. She feels around her waist, but her canteen was left by the blankets. "Just take mine," he says, taking her hand and pressing his into her palm. Her right eye is still a bit blurry and aggravated, but her left feels fine. "So, DELSAR." "What?" "Why do you think there was a troll in the woods?" she questions. "No." To encounter another one just a few miles from the last cannot be a coincidence. "Do you think we should look into it?" "No," replies DELSAR. "Our priority needs to be getting to Benor, and—" DELSAR closes his eyes before speaking quickly and under his breath. "Training you." Alidra lights up. "Really?" "Tactically, it makes sense. And we are not partners." DELSAR gives her a stern look and points directly at her face. Alidra bites her bottom lip. "Don't make me regret it," he adds. "I won't." "Then help me up." DELSAR reaches his hand up, and Alidra grabs it. She nearly falls forward, pulling him up. DELSAR grimaces as he stands. "You need some more meat on your bones." Alidra ignores the comment. "What happened? Where did you get hurt?" she asks, genuinely concerned. DELSAR places his hand on his side and winces. "I hit the same ribs I broke yesterday." "There's nothing wrong with that," she says, crossing her arms and sticking her nose up. "I cry all the time." "Just grab our things," DELSAR instructs. "I'd like to get to Newville before breakfast." "How far is it?" she asks. "Maybe 4 miles. So we traveled 6 last night." Yeah. Then it should take less than 90 minutes, exclaims the excited Alidra, slamming her fist in her palm. Yeah, sure. It doesn't take them 90 minutes. At DELSAR's slow, agonizing pace, it takes them just under 3 hours. Upon entering the town, someone sees them and retreats the other way. What has him spooked? Alidra asks DELSAR. I told him yesterday I would return. Alidra stomps her foot and brings her fists to her hips. Why would you say something like that? To keep them in line. You sound like a dictator. If people think I've gone soft, they'll start taking advantage of me. My job is tough and dangerous. That makes it expensive work. If they don't have the funds, I'll take something that I deem fit. You used to do this sort of stuff for free, and from the kindness of your heart, Alidra states, still a bit appalled. Wrong. I used to get paid very well by the Queen. In fact, more than I get paid now. A figure is running toward them, too far away to make out who it is, but DELSAR thinks he knows. The mayor of Newville. Outcast, yells the mayor, and soon he is upon them. And Miss Eldra, he says, bowing. I see your search was a success. Thanks to your help, Mr. Mayor, says Alidra. The mayor looks at DELSAR. I'm sorry, but we don't have the funds ready. We're still cleaning up from yesterday. That's fine. We'll just take something else off your hands. Alidra quickly jabs DELSAR in his side. DELSAR grunts and grabs her wrist with force. No, we are not making this a thing. He stares directly into her eyes. Alidra suddenly remembers his broken ribs and bites her lip. Sorry, she mouths. DELSAR turns back to the mayor, wrist still in hand. We need a carriage. Alidra rips her wrist from his grasp. We do have an extra carriage, but I can't just give it away, says the mayor. I'll buy it for 150 gold. DELSAR pulls the exact pouch that was used for yesterday's transaction. I give this to you, and all debts are paid. You owe me nothing. The mayor's eyes light up. We will owe you nothing? I'm not saying it again. You clearly heard me. Then it makes sense that you will need a horse to pull it. The mayor brings his hand to his chin, eyeing DELSAR with a faint smile and a peculiar glint in his eye. The man made a quick turnaround from a grateful, gushing mayor he had been yesterday. He clearly thinks this relationship is changing. DELSAR squints his eyes, trying to figure out the mayor's play. So what if I want a horse? 150 gold is very fair for both a horse and a carriage. I'm sure that won't be a problem for you. We need our horse to help with construction. I'm afraid buying one will have to cost you more than you're used to. How much more? DELSAR asks. 300. For a horse and carriage? Not happening. No, says the mayor. 300 for the horse. The carriage is 150 by itself. Are you out of your mind? DELSAR exclaims. I could get both for 100 in the capital. But you're not in the capital. If you need transportation, I have it. Fat chance! Then you must not have the funds. Perhaps I could take something else a bit more precious off you. That sword and maybe that shield look like they're worth something. DELSAR's jaw drops for a moment. He storms up to the mayor and jams his finger into his chest. Listen here, you little punk. Spit flies from his mouth. Who's going to stop me from just taking what I want and leaving you with nothing? You? The mayor's confidence suddenly leaves him. Wait a minute, DELSAR. Alidra steps in and tries to part the two men, but neither of them budge to her pushing. This is an expense that I am willing to pay. She simmies herself between the men, and this time DELSAR steps back when she pushes him. I have 300 on me right now, she tells DELSAR. You just so happen to have 300 golden coins? That's what she said, the mayor cuts in. You clearly heard it. DELSAR points his finger past Alidra at the man. You! Alidra screams and stops DELSAR from continuing. She receives confused looks from both men. It worked against the troll, so I thought I'd try it on you. Don't compare me to a troll, DELSAR says. You did stop. Fine. DELSAR rolls his eyes. You want to be the boss? You handle this spineless filth. Alidra scrunches her nose. I will, so you stop talking. She turns to face the mayor and gives him a head-tilted smile. Don't mind him. He's new. I just hired him yesterday, so he's still figuring some things out. She lowers her voice and leans in. He also just broke his ribs, and that makes him a bit cranky. I'm learning some things, too. I understand, the mayor whispers back. I, too, hired him just yesterday. So what did you do? She asks. It wasn't easy. You have to stay firm with him, the mayor explains. I hear that. Alidra reaches into her bag and pulls out 3 pouches. Here's the money for the horse. DELSAR can give you the money for the carriage. Then neither of you... Fine. He hands her the pouch, which she gives to the mayor. This is the agreed amount. I'll go fetch you a horse. The mayor runs off. It had better be a strong one for that price, DELSAR yells after him. DELSAR, Alidra starts. You do work for me now. If there is an expense, I will cover it. There's no reason to get rash. As crazy as it might seem to you, he is a human being, just like you. He's nothing like me. You're right. I'm not sure I was going with that. But you do need to be nicer. I work for you, but I do not have to act like you. Got it? Alidria gives him no answer. The mayor returns with a tall, rugged horse. This is a horse well worth the price, he says. I doubt you would have given me such a healthy horse if I was the one paying for it, DELSAR states. Alidria motions as if she's going to elbow him in the side again, but she doesn't. DELSAR hesitates before stepping forward to take the horse. Pardon your manners, says the mayor. The girl paid for it. That's all right, says Alidria. He does work for me. DELSAR, go fetch the horse. DELSAR snatches the lead rope from the mayor's hands. The carriage is out behind the stables. You do remember where they are, don't you? Of course I do. DELSAR walks in the direction he remembers the stables are. It was a pleasure doing business with you, waves the mayor. Look who has a ton of confidence now that he doesn't owe me anything. DELSAR continues to grumble as he walks away. Does our payment cover food for the horse? Alidria asks. For you? Absolutely. The mayor looks at Alidria and places his hand on her shoulder. His smile disappears. I'm not sure what your business with him is, Miss Elder, but please be careful. He seems to be very short-tempered, and I'd hate for you to get hurt because of him. I appreciate your concern, she tells him, but I don't think I'm the one who needs saving. She watches him disappear with the horse around a building. First him, then my village.